Yeah.
It's George.
It's Elaine.
Come on up.
Hey, Vinny, listen to...
I never heard anything like this in my life. Listen to this.
This is exciting! This is exciting! Huh? Did I miss anything already?
Kramer, get in.
Kramer! Where's the crazy man?
Hey, sit down. Come on, it's about to start.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Seincast, a retrospective on all 180 episodes of Seinfeld being hosted by two guys who can barely run their own lives. Ain't that the truth? I'm Vinny.
Oh man, we're doing like
Doing shtick today.
we're doing shtick here, yeah. Have you been watching the Simpsons marathon? Vinny?
I have, and I have little Simpsons quips in my notes today, so
Oh, great.
deal with it.
I would hope that most Seinfeld fans like Simpsons as well.
I think so.
We do.
At least they have some sort of affinity for it. They don't have to love it, but they're like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah. What's going on? The FXX Simpsons marathon, right?
Yes, 12 days of all Simpsons, 500 and some odd episodes.
And we were literally just talking about this a minute ago before we hit record, that we would love a station that played Simpsons nonstop, like just a marathon for years and years. But
Yeah, you could hop in whenever you want and get a little dose of Simpsons.
but even better would be a Seinfeld channel.
Amen, brother. That would be really cool. So, do you have any news for us this week, Matt?
Yes, got quite a bit of news. First bit of news actually happened last week, right after we recorded our discussion of the busboy. Jerry was this is Jerry Seinfeld I'm talking about.
Okay.
But Jerry was up in the Hamptons, right? As we know, he likes to vacation there.
Yeah.
Get some of those Hampton tomatoes. But he had parked his Porsche like in this little town while he was, I think, like grabbing a cup of coffee with a friend, and he saw this middle-aged woman in this BMW sedan just put her car in reverse and drive straight back into his car.
She backed into him.
They weren't like arguing, over a parking spot, but I'm not really like a car expert, aficionado.
Nor am I.
But this does sound really painful. This is a quote from Jerry. He's like, "We could hear the sound of metal crunching, rare, classic, expensive, vintage metal from across the street. A sickening sound to a car person."
Aw.
Yeah. So
Did he have did one tear stream down his face?
like whenever Jerry gets upset, his voice rises to a high comedic pitch.
Yes.
And I wonder if, like, in real life, that actually happens as well. Like, he never gets really angry.
Mm-hmm.
He was furious, and he ran over to the driver, and he was out of his mind, and he yelled at her, "You crashed into my car." And she was apologetic and said, like, I couldn't see it, but she didn't really understand why Jerry was so upset. This vintage classic car. It was a 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RSR, for all you car experts out there.
Oh, okay.
Nice car. I did like this little bit here. He's like, she offered to give him some information, like insurance information, but he said the idea of having her in his life for one more second was intolerable, so he just let her leave.
I like that though. It seems like he kind of and we talked about this earlier, that he kind of handled it with dignity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't flip out. It's not, you're not going to hear about the story on TMZ or and all the tabloids that Jerry Seinfeld goes bonkers over a car accident. Like he was very cordial about it.
Yeah, I think they were lucky that no one got it on video or anything like that.
Do you think when she crashed into his car, he was like, "What the f*** you doing, you stupid piece of shit"?
That would have been incredible.
Can you bleep that out and keep it in?
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay.
I don't think we don't have a clean rating, but I think if you do have swearing, I think you need to put a little disclaimer. In other Seinfeld news, there was a skit making the rounds on the internet last week called Barely Legal, and it featured Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. They were playing like pawn store owners, I guess, and it's sort of like for a reality show, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus comes in playing herself, and she's trying to pawn her Emmy, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting role for her because she's playing herself, but it kind of reminds me more of like her Curb personality.
It's a grandized version of herself, or a caricature of herself. We don't even know her real self.
Well, she says like she drank a bunch of rosé and purchased an island, and
now
she has to pay for it by selling her Emmy. So it's sort of like it's a silly little skit, and it's weird. Like I love the cast. Like I loved Breaking Bad, as did you, and we love Julia. But the skit was like, I don't know. It was funny.
Oh, get out of here!
Come on.
It was excellent.
I never once laughed. I might have chuckled a bit. I'm such a snob.
Yeah, you poo-poo on everything.
There was one point where she takes out her Emmy to give to them, and I like this one moment where they're testing to see if it's really made of metal, and Aaron Paul, his character, has like a little metal detector, and Bryan Cranston has like this little brush that he's kind of like rubbing on the statue, and he does this really slow turn to like look at Julia, and then he turns back, which made me laugh. But
I wasn't so much as laughing out loud, but I had a smile, a huge smile on my face the whole time I'm watching it. You know what I mean? So I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, it's so cool to see Julia and Bryan Cranston reunited, which was great. And in the end of the skit, not to spoil it, but there's sort of like a Breaking Bad sort of like twist, and then like a twist on that.
It's wonderful. And again, you end the skit with another smile on your face, guaranteed. Wouldn't it be great if they could just churn this kind of like this fake reality sketch out every couple weeks or every month or something? Just do one little 4-minute segment. It would be wonderful.
Yeah,
like keep the show going. And then wouldn't it be great if we could see Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Bryan Cranston in more things? Wouldn't that be great, Matt?
I think part of the reason actually the skit didn't really do it for me that much is because I watched it after Monday night's Emmys, the 2014 Emmys, when Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Bryan Cranston had another reunion there. I haven't seen the part where they presented award together, but
I did not watch the Emmys. I only saw the recap, and of course, everybody on Reddit posted that instantly. I think it was you who actually posted it.
So the two of them were presenting the award for male comedy actor in a TV show, and I think there was some sort of setup between the two of them where like Brian was reminding her that they were in Seinfeld together.
Yes.
And she pretended like she didn't remember it. Almost like it was like an insignificant moment in his life. And I think right before they announced that Jim Parsons won, Bryan Cranston's like, we did kiss. Or we shared a kiss or something like that. And again, she pretends she doesn't remember. And then when you fast forward later to when Julia wins for her role in Veep, she's walking to the stage and Bryan Cranston is right there in the front row.
Comes out of nowhere. He just grabs her, pulls her in close, and he planted one.
I mean, I know they obviously planned it. I doubt he surprised her really, but it was a pretty, it's a pretty big makeout session, I have to say.
Yeah, good, go, Bryan Cranston.
The only thing that made me feel awkward was that, like
Jimmy Fallon. It's like bring it up.
Brad Hall, Julia's husband, was like right behind her when this happened. And I don't know how I'd feel. I mean, obviously you're married for that long. You see your wife kiss people in television shows and film, but it's still kind of weird, right? When that happens 20 feet from you.
So I did watch later on, like the next day, they posted a post-Emmy interview with Julia, with all the reporters. And she said they had worked this out beforehand. They came up with the idea, Brian and her, and they each asked their respective significant others, would this be okay if we did this? And they both got the okay from Brad Hall and Brian's wife, who I don't know her name. So they had the green light to go ahead and do this. They set it up as like a 3-part joke. So that's why when they presented it, they kind of alluded to it first. And if that didn't work, then perhaps this spontaneous kiss would not have worked either. So it was all everything was premeditated. Oh, and also I followed JLD on Instagram recently. She posted this. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, for those who didn't know. She posted. She's like, "This just blows me away." That was her post, and it had a picture side by side or top and bottom of the kiss at the Emmys and then the kiss on Seinfeld, and they were practically identical. And it was. Oh, I was like, it warms my heart to see that.
I'm sure most people have seen the kiss, but we'll definitely post the video in our show notes with the rest of the stuff we talked about here in news.
All right, so we done with news?
Yeah. So what episode are we talking about today?
We are talking about the baby shower.
For those of you who are listening to this podcast for the first time, ignore your episode guides on Wikipedia. We are following the episode order on the DVDs. You can buy these DVDs on Amazon or the Sony Pictures website. They're fantastic. They come in volumes. It was the volume. I don't know why that stood out. Sorry.
No, it works.
You can't help it. Sometimes, do you ever say something that just reminds you of a Seinfeld quote,
Every day.
and you can't control yourself. You just have to.
No, I'll say it and people won't get it, but it makes me happy inside, so I do it anyway. But sometimes when people get it, ooh, that's nice.
These DVDs, like I was saying, they come in separate volumes, or you can buy one big box set. They're great deals online. Everyone should go out and buy these. They're fantastic. However, if you prefer watching your episodes through other means, we are following the DVD order once again. So to just give a little bit of setup for the baby shower before we get into the episode proper, this was the first episode, at least from like a production standpoint, written by Larry Charles, who was one of 2 writers to join the staff for the second season. Larry Charles had worked with Larry David and Michael Richards on the show Fridays. He was a writer on that show while they were cast members. He also had performed stand-up comedy in the 1970s prior to that. And interesting enough, he was actually writing for Arsenio Hall during Seinfeld's first season.
It's funny when I think about the writers and kind of like the stepping order, I think of Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld. And then when I think of like who was next in that pecking order, I think of Larry Charles. Like, at least going back to the older shows, because he wasn't there for the entire run.
Right. He was just there until season 5. But yeah, I agree. Like, there's really a tonal shift. Even though Larry David was there for the first, or for 7 seasons of the 9, there feels to be like a tonal shift right around halfway, where I feel like you get these other writers in, like Tom Gamble and Max Pross, and David Mandel eventually joins the show.
Jeff Schaefer.
Jeff Schaefer, who does The League now, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, these earlier seasons definitely have that Larry Charles, Peter Melman, sort of like feels like a smaller writing team. This episode is actually really interesting to note because from our discussion last week about the busboy, how Larry was really happy with all these storylines interweaving and connecting at the end with the busboy and the Ed character, Elaine's boyfriend, who she can't stand. They actually tried to weave all the storylines, all 4 of them together in this one, and I think they did it, pretty well. It's not like too complicated, but they wanted everything to sort of come to a head at the end. The premise for the episode actually came from Larry Charles. He had a friend who was about to have a baby, and she didn't want to experience childbirth. And she asked her doctor to completely tranquilize her so she would sleep through the entire thing. And Larry Charles thought there was something kind of ironic about that. And taking that idea to the idea of Jerry getting illegal cable and George having a rough date, that all sort of came together for this one episode. Something interesting to note, too, since this is the second episode written by someone other than Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, Larry Charles has noted that the episodes had to be done really quickly. There was the first draft had to be written in just a couple of days before being turned over to Larry David. But most of the stuff in this episode was in Larry Charles's first draft, so there weren't a whole lot of changes to this episode. I think Larry Charles has a pretty good feel for his Seinfeld characters. Like, I think he got it early on. He is sort of known for having a darker edge to his writing, though.
He actually does the commentary on this episode on the DVDs, and he talks about that he always liked trying to put in some sort of radical element, which we'll discuss later on, into each episode. And he even liked topical references a little bit more than Larry did. Larry didn't really care for those, but Larry David didn't care for those. Larry Charles liked to try to throw those in here and there.
Mm-hmm. Which I can't stand. Like, I think topical references are it's the worst way to it's the most effective way of aging your show or dating your show.
Yeah, but so are the clothes and the phones. You know what I mean? Like, it's now, Seinfeld is now this little historical gem we have. Granted, a lot of the humor is still relevant today, relationships and interacting with people, but it's a show that took place in the 90s, so I don't mind it. And he even says, Kramer goes, "Come on, it's the 90s, it's Hammer time." So he even says it's the, you know what I mean? So like, I get what you're saying though.
I think it's the most extreme example of like topical humor to me is, those movies like Date Movie and Epic Movie?
Yes.
Where they literally parody movies that came out like 5 months prior.
Right.
And have nothing to do with one another. I'd like to visit one of those movies in like 10 years. I've never seen one. Oh, God.
All right, so here we go. The Baby Shower. This is the 4th episode of Season 2. It was written by Larry Charles, as Matt said earlier, directed by Tom Sharonis, and its original air date was May 16th, 1991. So we start off with Jerry doing some stand-up, and this is actually really good stand-up. This is the one, men flip around the TV more than women, and he kind of analyzes, why that is, and it's because women nest and men hunt. He does the flipping motion on stage.
When I was watching this, I was thinking to myself before he got to that line, of how like men hunt, women nest. I'm like, oh, I wonder if he says that here, because it sort of has it sort of feels like that kind of joke. But I'm like, no, that's only in that episode with Toby when from season 5.
That's the fire. I heard this and I was like, wait a minute, he's reusing an old joke from 91 and he's putting it in, a show in season 5. But the line from the fire is, Elaine asks Jerry something, or they're talking about something, and Jerry kind of just sloughs her off. He goes, yeah, that's real interesting. Elaine, listen, tell me if you think this is funny. And he reads his bit that he has on like a napkin or something. Men definitely hit the remote more than women. Men don't care what's on TV. Men only care what else is on TV. Women want to see what the show is before they change the channel, because men hunt and women nest. So it's the exact same bit, and he does it later.
Just a little more condensed, sort of, right?
Right. But I thought that was kind of funny, and then that also made me even delve deeper. And do you remember when in the dealership in season 9 when Jerry talks about the Heil 5, and Elaine goes, "Isn't that from your act like 10 years ago?" And he's like, "It was a good bit in the 80s, and it's still relevant today." And that kind of made me, him reusing the men hunt, women nest bit, in 2 different places, reminded me of the Heil 5.
Oh, that's great. Absolutely.
That was a connection within a connection. A Seincast first.
I thought it was created this bit was created specifically for the fire. I didn't think it originated here at all. And this was part of Jerry's like original set, right? Like this wasn't a piece written for the show.
Larry Charles said this was actually from Jerry's stand-up, which is why it works so well. Mm-hmm. And he said that in the commentary, Larry Charles says that the hardest thing to write was, and rightfully so, was coming up with the stand-up bits to mirror what was going on in the show. So you can tell, sometimes when the comedy is strong, the stand-up comedy is stronger. It's because that was it's because that was Jerry's bit that he had already worked out. Mm-hmm. Whereas the ones they only had a couple days to come up with, they're not as strong.
I like that we we didn't know that really prior to starting this podcast. I feel like just from watching episode to episode, we kind of picked up on that on our own. And I don't think we've ever really watched this show with as close an eye as we have been. And it is pretty obvious. Like you can tell when some material is Jerry's and some has been created for the show.
So then he'll say, I wonder if before television, if emperors and kings and pharaohs, as he pronounces it, and such, would have these different storytellers. And I really like how he's like, tell me what's going on. Okay, I'm not interested. And he hops between each, I think of a jester telling a story.
You'd have like 30 storytellers lined up, right?
Yes, and he would hop around between. Okay, shut up. What are you telling? Blah blah blah. I can't do it. But
I don't want to hear that. All right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, that's a great little bit.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think this is definitely. It's hard to keep track of all these stand-ups that we're seeing. Honestly, I forgot about this one, so this is sort of moved up as one of my favorites.
All right. Mental note.
If anyone cares.
And now we go to Monks. George, Elaine, and Jerry are sitting at a booth. And
I gotta say real quick, Vinny, how, just before we get into this, how dense is this scene? Like,
yeah,
I was taking notes on it, and it bounces between all 3 of them so much, and it's like all exposition. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, well, as Larry Charles will point out, most times they use the A scene to set up what's going on in the episode. Mm-hmm. They set up every single storyline except for Kramer's in this one scene.
Yeah, this is going to be a little tough to... Maybe we should focus on character by character, or...
Yeah, we don't have to do it like the conversation goes.
Oh, hell, you guys... And I'm sure most of our listeners have seen this scene, so they don't need the specifics. But George finds out that this woman, Leslie, who we don't really know yet, is pregnant. She's a performance artist, or at least a former performance artist. She's pregnant. George dated her, I guess, at some point, right?
Elaine set George and her up.
Which I thought was interesting, right? Like this idea of setting it up, like the fix-up, setting up with friends.
Which we're going to see next season. Jerry and Elaine will set George up with Cynthia. Mm-hmm. her friend who has the really nice eyebrows.
I really don't know why. I mean, I guess Elaine and George are friends. I don't get why she would ever set any of her friends up with George. Like, what are his redeeming qualities?
Well, when I think of he's stocky, he's powerful. No, I always thought Elaine found George repulsive.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't even pay him as a gigolo, right?
Right.
He's like, how much would you pay? I don't know, $1, right? So I guess this is old, old Elaine, that she's still nice and sweet and would set up a guy that she doesn't really, relate to with one of her friends. But yeah, I found that kind of puzzling.
Maybe because she's not really thinking of like Leslie's well-being. She's just like looking for her approval somehow. So she's like, it's like a last-ditch effort to get Leslie maybe on her side by setting her up with a friend of hers. I don't know.
But with George?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyhow.
Jerry interrupts the conversation where they're talking about Leslie, and I love this bit so much where Jerry's like, oh, what's Leslie's husband's name again? Chip? Kip? Skip?
Todd.
And
that's something we always do
when
we're trying to figure out somebody's name. It's always Chip, Skip, Kip first.
Until one of us tells the other what the real name is.
And then we hear the first mention of the Kennedys, the fascination with the Kennedys in Seinfeld, specifically with Elaine.
Right. Jerry asks if Todd is a Kennedy. He's a third cousin, I guess, by marriage, something like that. This scene, as much as I love it, it is so hard to cover because, like, Jerry's jumping in with his little jokes and George is just sort of saying the same thing over and over again, but
it's a real conversation.
Yeah, that's true. We're back to George, and he's saying that Leslie was, the worst date of his life.
Well, hold on. Before you say that, did you notice when Jerry says, like, what is he, a third cousin or something? And he goes, we went to the wedding, which means Elaine took Jerry to the wedding. So that's a second wedding they've gone to.
Well, probably while they were dating, wouldn't you think?
Perhaps, since Elaine set George up with Leslie 3 years ago, so who knows when that occurred?
Yeah.
When this wedding occurred, this Kennedy wedding.
Well, they say 3 years ago?
Yes.
Oh, that's really interesting. So 1988, they were dating. So at some point...
The reason I know that is because he had the smell of stale Bosco on his shirt for 3 years.
Damn, look at you.
Oh, I brought it this episode.
So yeah, I'd like to think that they were dating at the time because you kind of get the vibe from the stakeout that Elaine is like, oh, a wedding? There's no, like... We don't have, like, a responsibility to, like, go to weddings with each other since we're just friends. George goes on to say that Leslie was the worst date of his life, and Elaine sort of bounces it back at him, like, excuse me for trying to set you up with a beautiful, intelligent woman. And George does this thing that I feel like he does throughout the show, where he's like, what, I can't attract beautiful, intelligent women? He's always like, what, I'm not capable of doing this myself?
But what I don't get is Jerry's response to that is thin ice, George, very thin ice. And I don't understand that because shouldn't George be the one that's offended and he is offended that Elaine said that? Like, why is George on thin ice for saying, why can't I attract a beautiful, intelligent woman?
That's a good question.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe he can't. Like, you're on thin ice. You're about to get the truth dished at you.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Which he does eventually in a couple episodes. Maybe it's just because he's going to start a fight with Elaine. Like, they're going to, you want to have an argument? Like, I mean, perhaps that could be it. I don't know.
Could be. George kind of gives some context for why he doesn't like Leslie and why she was, the worst date he ever had. A few years ago, I guess, right? It must have been 3 years ago. She dragged George to see one of her performances on the waterfront in Brooklyn. And the skit was to see her cook for a celebrity, right?
God. She's cooking dinner for God.
Yes.
Man, he sells that line.
Yeah, that is the I don't know if there's like a term for it, but George, where he just gets really like
New York.
And she's yelling, and the next thing George knows, she throws this big can of chocolate syrup all over his new red shirt that he was wearing. And he believes that this moment she did on purpose, right? I guess he was feeling that they were going to break up, right? I don't know why he thought this was done on purpose, but...
It's George. He always feels that he's being slighted by others.
And do you think that he says it was the worst date of his life. Does that mean that they hadn't dated at all? Like, it was just this one date, and she threw chocolate syrup on him?
That'd be interesting if your first date is, oh, come to my show. Don't talk to me. I'm gonna be performing. You can just sit in the audience. That's a date. Yeah, who knows?
I think it was though, because he does say it was the worst date, and the fact that she leaves eventually, like after the show,
That's right.
I guess during the show, he was sitting there with the syrup on him, and flies are landing on him, and he's just fuming, with
He's
what
boiling.
boiling with what he's going to tell her, and he turned into a groveling worm.
Didn't she end up leaving with somebody else?
Yeah, right. So when he's like, "Oh, what kind of chocolate was that? Do you throw any other foods?" Love
maybe
that.
Maybe she left with Todd. Maybe that's where she met Todd.
Oh, right. Yeah. So So since she does leave with someone else, it could have been Todd, because she never calls him back or apologizes, and this is really just stuck with George for years, which is pretty weird. Like, I understand if you're dating someone and they really burn you, or it's a bad breakup, just carrying that grief with you for a long time. But it was one date. Like, what's the big deal?
Oh no, I get it. He holds grudges like Khomeini.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I wanted to bring up was people always say, or Seinfeld is always mentioned as being a really smart show. Mm-hmm. And for one example, the historical references in this episode alone are there's a plethora of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Kennedys. They talk about Chappaquiddick. Then they mention Khomeini, Sakharov, Bernard Goetz, and these are all because we were kids when this came out. I didn't really know some of these references,
mm-hmm.
and I still don't.
Right.
But in the Notes About Nothing, they kind of explain some of them. But I'm like, damn, there is a lot of history peppered throughout the show. And and another thing was like, oh, I thought that was Larry David doing that because he's the history major. But I think that might be Larry Charles.
I don't know if you can call it topical humor, but like, this is the kind of stuff that that works for me, because over like something like saying Hammer Time, because like all these events and people they're talking about have typically been around for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that Larry Charles says during his commentary on the DVDs is that George in this scene is just like Larry David. He can't let go of something.
Yeah.
Which, to me, like, I mean, it might not make sense, it's like one date, but when you really think of Larry David and the character that was based on him, George, it just totally makes sense. Like, you just accept it for what it is.
And I like that it's talked so candidly that is Larry David. Larry David is the type to hold a grudge. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, ooh, he's, I don't know. I got a kick out of that.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, most people wouldn't like be that open about people they know, like, oh yeah, he really holds a grudge, it's just so neurotic, but I think Larry David embraces that, and really makes who he is.
Well, and Andy Ackerman, a future director on Seinfeld, articulates it so well, and he says there's a little George Costanza in all of us. Mm-hmm. And that's why people may not like him, is because we see the negative things about us in George.
Yeah.
But that's why I like him so much, and that's why I really like Larry David.
Jerry asks what happened to the shirt that George was wearing. It got all the chocolate sauce or syrup on him. And George says he still wears it under sweaters because the collar's okay.
Would you be able to do that if you had a shirt with a big old stain on it?
I do. I was about to say, I own a shirt that I really like, and it's a white shirt, and it has a red dot on it appropriately. Like, I think it was like cranberry juice or something. And right on the front, obviously can't wear it, but I still wear it under like a sweater.
That's not as bad as a collared shirt with a giant bullseye of a chocolate stain.
There's a lot of chocolate sauce on this shirt, as we see later.
Well, because I was thinking, what if if you're dating somebody and then, things are going well, and then you go back to their place, and then they're like, take off your sweater.
You might have to do just two-piece sort of removal.
That's really hard with a button-down shirt.
Yeah.
Anywho, so Elaine is going to throw this baby shower for another woman, right?
Yeah, Leslie had asked her for it.
Right. And Jerry and George say, you're not going to do that, are you? So, and Elaine says, normally, any other woman, no, but for some reason she desperately wants Leslie's approval. And that got me thinking of, is that the male equivalent of driving a guy to the airport or helping somebody move? Because they kind of painted it in a way that, like, this is the female, friend-to-friend equivalent of going all the way, is throwing another woman a baby shower.
Yeah, but I think Jerry and George are like, you're really going to do that? Because they know that maybe they're not really good friends. They're not the best friends in the world. Okay. Or just, I don't think an airport pickup is nearly as bad as a baby shower.
Well, I was trying to differentiate between the sexes in that. Is there is an airport pickup a male only thing, or does it apply to both? It probably applies to both.
I think it applies to both, but
Because in The Boyfriend they say helping a guy move, that's like going all the way with a guy.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? So that I was like, is there a female equivalent to that?
maybe going all the way would be a baby shower. Baby shower could be as bad as helping someone move because it takes hours and it's something that you have to plan for and you have to host. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's this little moment here where George he's just so upset with the Leslie character, and he's like, let Maria Shriver give her a baby shower. And there's
Another
just
Kennedy reference.
Yeah, another Kennedy reference. And Jerry does that, like, ask not what I can do for you, ask what you can do for me. And George says, Ich bin ein Sucker, which is a reference, to the Kennedy speech in Berlin. And does this bother you at all? Like,
No.
it's too clever for these characters and too fast. It's like George feels like a stand-up comedian at times. Like when he's talking to the group, he's like, I've got some material I want to try out here.
Well, he does hang out with a stand-up comedian, so
That's true. Maybe it's rubbing off on him. And then we get this little bit here, which I'm sure we're going to talk about quite a bit, where, Elaine's like, stop talking about the Kennedys. Why does everybody make such a big deal about them?
Larry Charles mentions in the commentary how this was kind of adding another shade to Elaine's character, that she in particular had this fascination with the Kennedys. So then George goes to the bathroom, right, and he's still stewing over this issue, this thing with Leslie, this really bad date.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to the bathroom. Then Elaine jumps to the other side of the booth so she can ask Jerry if she can host the baby shower at his place.
Because what does her roommate have?
Jerry says, I thought it was Lyme disease. And she goes, she has this in addition to Epstein-Barr.
Mm-hmm.
She has Epstein-Barr with a twist of Lyme disease. So, Epstein-Barr is a virus, and it is a herpes-type virus.
Really?
Do you know what it can cause?
What?
Mono.
Oh my god.
Say it!
Nucleosis.
Thank you. Oh, man. He's a slow one, guys.
I don't know what you're getting at. I thought you were talking about when I had mono in college.
Oh, from...
Yeah, like,
Wait,
oh no, do I have...
All right. You
do
get
I
a pass there.
Do I have herpes?
But mononucleosis is referenced in season 8, The Abstinence, when George is dating a woman who can't have sex because she has mono. Anyway, sorry. Back on track.
Did you notice how specific this scene got when Jerry says something like, how did she get Lyme disease or Epstein-Barr? And Elaine says that her roommate, Tina, who we'll meet later this season, she did an outdoor version of Hair. And then she's like in Danbury, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck is up with that? Like, why get so specific?
That had to be like somebody in the writer's room did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we might as well get specific here. I don't know if is it to sell the scene, like make it more believable? Is it just to add more minutia and just, why have that in there? Because you're taking a pass on the script, and you're probably cutting any fat you come across. Like, isn't that a little?
Yeah, because are there any real jokes in that little thing she does? They still do that play with the nudity. Well, it's a classic. And then he says she probably rolled over on a tick during the love-in.
George comes back to the table, still upset. I guess going to the bathroom didn't help. Jerry wants to know how the baby shower is going to work at his place, and I kind of like these little bits here.
Yeah.
He asks if it ever erupts into a drunken orgy of violence.
And there's no hazing of the fetus.
Yeah. Did you notice, though, we've talked about this earlier this season, how they added more cameras to the production, and they got a lot of pickup shots, just because you only have so many angles from the set.
Okay.
And there's that really weird angle of Jerry while he's talking to Elaine, since they're in the same booth. And for the first time ever, and I think one of the few times, you see kind of like a wall where the audience would be.
Right.
And it's got some coffee pots on it.
It's like a table with all the bust dishes.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Just seeing that, because it's an angle we don't get much of.
So then George says, or is there anything else left?
Well, Elaine says that the baby shower's on Saturday. Jerry has a buffalo show on Saturday.
A buffalo show.
Yeah, Buffy is going to go see some buffalo.
Oh, okay.
So it would work out, right? He'll be gone on Saturday. She can have the place on Saturday.
Right.
George does set up, though, right as we leave the scene, that he's going to tell Leslie what he thinks of her at some point before he dies. And
or he won't be able to live with himself.
right. Or forgive
And
himself.
And then they say, if you don't,
I still won't forgive myself, but at least it won't be about this.
yeah, good,
So-
good line.
Oh yeah, great line. And I thought he was going to walk out, and I love these little moments. He goes back for $1 that he leaves, maybe a little too much tip.
It was already like a really good scene, but adding that little thing at the end just is like a cherry on top, and now it makes it great. Because he already did the $1 take back in the stock tip, right?
Yeah, so we
that's
already
good.
know he's pretty cheap. And it's sort of the same joke again, but it always works with George.
Oh yeah, maybe cheapness is a sense. So the next scene is in Jerry's apartment, and Jerry has a scrambled cable connection, so he's kind of fiddling with his TV. He's got the bunny ears on there.
Tinfoil.
Tinfoil, yes. There's dating a show right there.
Yeah.
Is a fat TV with bunny ears. But Kramer is hovering over him. He's like, "Why are you doing this to yourself?" And he knows this guy who can set up his cable for him for $150.
I think he's in Kramer's apartment in the moment because he's like,
Yeah.
I got this guy at my place. So
That's right.
is Kramer getting illegal cable at this moment?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
We don't know officially if Kramer does.
I thought this was interesting, and Larry Charles, brings this up on the DVD commentary that Kramer this is sort of like an early moment of him speaking out against the system, finding a black market or finding like a back way of getting something, since the cable companies, I guess in the context of the show, are having some sort of dispute, right?
Yes.
I don't know what this dispute is, but I think most people can relate to this still nowadays. Like, all cable companies care about is the big mamu, money. I think everyone listening to the show is getting screwed over by cable or internet. I know I am, so.
Oh, that was one of my little Simpsons nods, was the TV with the bunny ears I have in my notes. So that was one of the things that made me think of Simpsons.
There's a great image that Twitter user Seinfeld2000 put out of Jerry's apartment, and the Simpsons characters are sitting on the couch, like their couch, and it's just so cool. It's a great
really
photoshopped image.
So Kramer is trying to persuade Jerry to do this, and Jerry says, "What you're suggesting is illegal," and Kramer's saying it's not illegal. Jerry says it's against the law, and Kramer's like, "Well, yeah."
I feel like we got that kind of joke from Kramer in another episode where he says something, someone will correct him, and he's like, "Yeah."
He's clueless, but like he's like going along with the norm, and he's doing his own thing as well. But he's like, you know what I mean? He doesn't know exactly what he's doing, but he's still doing it.
Yeah.
He also talks about how like progressive this guy is, this Russian cable guy, and he sells slugs at the subway. And I'm not a New Yorker, and I always assumed that slugs were actual slugs. Like, I had no idea these were counterfeit coins they used to mimic real coins to get on the subway.
How did they work? So
I think they're like the same weight as the however much it costs to, get the turnstile to go in the subway, and people sold these things. That's funny because you're buying that as kind of a currency. You're still buying the slug, right?
You're getting a discount on your subway ride.
But anyway, I'm not a smart man. So.
No. Hey, honestly, I had no idea either, because for as long as I've been riding the New York subways, it's always been a card.
So another interesting thing is when Jerry or Kramer walks over, and I just sent you this in your email, so look at it. But you actually get to peer into Kramer's apartment. I don't know if this is the first time we can see in there, but it looks a little bit messy. I see a bowling ball case at the bottom right, but he's just got stuff kind of strewn about his apartment.
There's a great website out there called, I think it's kramersapartment.com, and someone has gone through, I think, all the episodes, and they're sort of doing something that I've always wanted to do, but I just don't have the time for it, where they're just kind of cataloging every single shot of Kramer's apartment, in addition to like all of Jerry's girlfriends and George's girlfriends and whatnot. But they've collected all of these screenshots, and anytime his door is open, and you can see just that little wall there, and it's
nice.
interesting how it changes throughout episodes. Like, there's different items there, the wall looks a little different, so I'll link to that in our show notes. There is one funny shot here, though, where I like it when Jerry, he's sort of like bending over and like getting under the TV, and Kramer's just standing there, and he's like, "Look at you, you're just pathetic. You're wasting your life. I just like that moment a lot. Just a funny image. Just sorry, I have to throw it out there.
Go ahead.
I did think it was interesting though that Kramer says, "I'm offering you 56 channels." That's what the cable package is.
That was a lot.
That's a lot back then, right?
Back in those days, yeah.
Yeah, I think growing up at my parents' house, we only had around that. I never really experienced cable. What do you go up to nowadays? Like, do they go over 1,000?
There's up to 1,000, yeah, because you got all those channels that have just music on them.
Yeah.
So, but it always goes over 1,000. But I grew up without cable. We had basic television, so I only had channel 4, 5, 7, 9, channel 20, and channel 50. Those are the main channels I got to watch. So people were always like, "Did you watch Nickelodeon growing up?" And no, I don't get any Nickelodeon reference because I didn't have cable or MTV for that matter.
Is that how you know movies and TV shows so well, like quoting them, like? Or not TV shows, I guess, but just movies growing up.
Because I was a VHS guy.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's why. Yeah.
And this is that moment right around the time where they're going back and forth about whether or not he should get this cable. That Kramer says it's the '90s, it's Hammer time. Yeah, it's just you're so like you. I'm sure most of our listeners like you because you're very like understanding and you appreciate Seinfeld jokes that might not hit the bullseye.
Perhaps.
But this one, are there many topical references like this in the show, like Hammer Time or
not like this? And this is more of a pop culture reference versus a historical reference, like the Kennedys and all that other stuff. But I'm having trouble coming up with. And then you got there's a lot of baseball references we'll see later on in the show. But yeah, I don't know anything pop culture that we'll have to see if anybody can come up with something off the top of the head.
It's like if this show were, went into the 2000s and there's like a Britney Spears reference or something, it would just be like, oof.
Lady Gaga as a guest star on one of the episodes. Yeah.
I guess that's what Seinfeld 2000 is for, to make us realize just how dumb references like that would be.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Hammer Time joke, though, Larry David actually asked Larry Charles, who's MC Hammer, when that joke was in the first draft. Yes. And Larry Charles has said that Larry David would never have a joke on the show that he didn't get, but he let him get away with that one. So
that shows that Larry's trusting Larry. Larry David trusts Larry Charles, and I like that.
I think it's okay that it comes from Kramer because Kramer is sort of in his own world, and it's okay if he says something that's weird or topical that might not age well. But I feel like if Jerry or George said something like that, it would be a little oof.
Yeah.
So
well, and that was something, I don't know if you want to touch on this later, but that was something Larry Charles pointed out is that the personas of Jerry and George were so well defined already at this point because they were heavily based on Jerry and Larry David that Larry Charles really enjoyed tackling the Kramer character because he really hadn't been established yet and was kind of malleable. So he could make it into what he wanted to be. So hence him being kind of a conspiracy guy, and this is the first time he's going up against the system and anti-corporate. So I guess Larry Charles kind of had a bit of an affinity for writing for Kramer, perhaps.
Yeah, and we've said this from the first episode. Kramer has always sort of felt like he's catching up to the other three characters, just in terms of shaping him and who he is. And
yes,
he's sort of that. To quote "It's Always Sunny," he is sort of that wild card character of the show. He might not ever be as well formed as the other characters, but I like that Larry Charles has really put his stamp on the character, or at least written some material for Kramer that you really see stick around for the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So Kramer goes to get the guy, the Russian cable guy, and he comes in eating a bagel, I think, or something. This guy's always eating. It's weird.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what it is, but when he came in, we might have to do a screenshot comparison for this. Did he remind you of Slippery Pete at all from the Frogger, a fatter version?
I guess it's a stretch.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I know what he looks like, but go ahead and make that screen grab and see. Vic Polisos plays Tabichnik, the Russian. I think Kramer may also refer to him as Anatoly in a later scene, because the other guy that's with him in this episode he's cast as the assistant.
Oh.
He's played by James Lashley, who, here's a little connection. James Lashley, the assistant in this episode, was also on an episode of the Michael Richards Show.
Oh.
So I found that on IMDb.
the short-lived sitcom
Yes.
Michael did after Seinfeld. Jerry, again, sets up that he's going to be out of town tomorrow, and this doesn't feel right, and feels like, sirens are going to go off every time he turns on the TV. And Kramer, it's so funny, this is like the linchpin. This is what gets Jerry to kind of cross the line. He's like, it's no risk, first of all, but that the Mets have 75 games on cable this year.
Yeah.
And that's what gets Jerry to cave to set it up tomorrow.
And as we discussed in earlier episodes, as of now, you see a Mets hat by Jerry's computer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still staunchly Mets. But I noticed later on during the baby shower scene, if you look by the bathroom, there's a Yankees cap hanging up.
Yeah, one of our fans on Facebook actually pointed this out. He was watching the jacket. This is Jeffrey Fishbach, and he noticed the same thing. So this is the what is it? Tapping into Jerry being a Mets fan and Larry being a Yankees fan. Then we have that little great moment before we get out of the scene with Kramer saying Jerry's going to be a cable boy. Cable boy. Jerry's going to be a cable boy.
I like that.
Yeah. Next scene, Jerry returns home from his show in Buffalo, and there are men in suits, cops all over the place.
Did you see who's back?
No. Who?
George Sims, the guy from the robbery.
Oh, right. Yeah. Forgot about him.
He was the guy at the end talking. He's like, what about the apartment? He's the FBI agent who says, Mr. Steinfeld.
We've gotten a few messages from listeners out there that some of our audio might be off on our earlier episodes. Very sorry. But yeah, this is, you had this, you did 10 minutes of looking up the different characters that George Sims played throughout Seinfeld, and I was so impressed by it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was very extensive. So this is the first appearance we have of George Sims, right?
Second.
Second, sorry.
Yeah, but I really like this one. This one stands out because he continually mispronounces Jerry's name as Mr. Steinfeld. You're in a lot of trouble, Mr. Steinfeld.
He wants to know about Jerry's illegal cable hookup, and I love this. Kramer just comes out of the bedroom with another cop, and he's like, Jerry, I had to tell him. They were onto us from the very beginning. And, Jerry gets kind of panicky, and he's like, we're just patsies, we're just a couple of users. And there's something weird about the tone in this scene, even though we all know what's going to happen. I remember the first time I saw this, I could tell that something wasn't right.
Okay.
It was do you get that vibe? It just...
Yeah. Well, Jerry's really overacting in this scene,
yeah.
And he's like, "We're just a couple of users. They're rushing, And because I think he does well in the rest of the episode, but I think because it's a dream sequence, it's meant to be over the top.
Yeah, and he can have a lot of fun with it. And he's like, "You want the Russian guy?" And that's when what's the actor's name again?
Vic Polizos. He
comes out and he's like, "Mr. Seinfeld, Agent Stone, FBI undercover," and this is such this doesn't really feel like a Seinfeld moment, just because it's so surreal. But yeah, Jerry makes a run for the door, and all the cops just open fire on him.
And you can see there's all sorts of not props, but food items and things on his counter, and it's just...
Why is there so much food out?
Because they can have the squibs hit it and blow that stuff up.
Yeah, but in the show, though...
Oh,
why would they be able to...
Well, yeah, of course, but they didn't show that until... they got shot up, but yeah.
Yeah, just everything starts exploding as the cops, they open fire on Jerry, and it's, I gotta say, it's funny, but it is pretty dark.
Yeah.
For a show like this, and Larry Charles said this was one of the most ambitious things they did that season. And you mentioned the radical elements, right, that he was always trying to bring into the sitcom genre.
And he even says in the Larry Charles in the commentary that he was very into Quentin Tarantino. And he wanted to have this Quentin Tarantino type moment in a sitcom and see if it would work.
Which I find interesting because Quentin Tarantino didn't come around until 92, which was a year after this. I do remember Larry Charles saying that.
Okay.
So I wonder if that's sort of like he's not remembering his years correctly, or maybe he was familiar with something of Quentin Tarantino's before Reservoir Dogs.
Or maybe just that type of that genre.
They had a shared genre, and this is maybe a way for Larry Charles to explain it.
Yeah, okay.
To the audience.
And another thing I thought was very interesting, I think he might have said this in the Inside Look, but another funny thing was that NBC was okay with this idea of killing off the main character. And he said, they probably didn't have anything to lose since the show wasn't, doing that well at this point. still early on in the second season, and they kept losing to Jake and the Fat Man. You know what I mean? So like they're like, sure, go ahead, kill them all. We don't care. Whatever you want to do. So that was kind of cool. They gave him free license.
Right, like they could try out things since they were flying under the radar. That normally NBC would be like, oh my God, never.
Yeah.
Like even if it is a dream, you can't show something like that. Kramer grabs Jerry and I think about the blooper more than I think about the the scene. But Kramer grabs Jerry and it's so good. He's like, Cable Boy, just clutching him.
And he'll what if you do a little Cable Boy? And then he'll like shake him and make like a grunt noise.
Yeah.
And then that's when Jerry starts laughing. Is when Kramer shakes him.
Right. We're just for those of you that haven't seen it. There's a great collection of bloopers for all the seasons of Seinfeld, and I wish we could isolate just one blooper. We might have to post the whole video, but yeah, they do this take a few times, right? And Jerry just cracks up every time.
I don't know how he got through it. So now Jerry wakes up.
Yep, on the plane, right? It's like Inception. He just, opens his eyes and looks around the plane. And he asks the stewardess if he could get something to drink since it was such a, traumatic dream. She, says she can't. He gets this attitude. Like,
no, she's like, I don't think so, sir. Is what she says.
And he's like, what, are you cutting out the drinks now? And she informs him that they're flying into a blizzard and they have to make an emergency landing. So Jerry, never makes it to Buffalo. I don't know why the audience laughs, but this makes me laugh too. And he's like, are you going to go over the instructions again?
Yeah. Well, I think because we can relate because nobody pays attention when they go over the instructions.
Right. So the joke isn't he's being sarcastic, right? He's not like in a bad mood. He's literally like, I don't remember.
It's the one time when you got an emergency and it's like, I haven't paid attention my whole life of flying.
The guy next to Jerry, the guy that's like, my name is Bill. I might be the last person you ever see. Now,
I see him and I think of the real-life version of Hans Moleman from The Simpsons. Yeah. More Simpsons.
Wow. And more Simpsons.
So
I like it.
I think of that, and I also think of him as Earl Milford from Arrested Development.
And you know why you think of him as Earl Milford?
Because you can always tell a Milford man?
No, it's the same actor.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, yes.
I sound like such an asshole.
No. I didn't say it correctly, so you got me. Yeah.
I don't know the actor by name, but...
Don Perry.
Don Perry, really?
Yep.
It sounded like he made that up. Don Perry.
Valet.
Corvalet. One thing to note, though, and I need to do some actual research on this instead of just pointing it out and not have a follow-up, but these earlier episodes, I noticed a lot of background extras reappearing, and the guy sitting behind Jerry, he has a window seat, so he's the row behind him, window seat, and he walked into the coffee shop in the first scene.
Of this episode?
So I thought that was a really weird in-universe just connection that like this guy who eats at Monk's is on the same plane as Jerry going to Buffalo.
I didn't pick up on that.
I'll find out more about this extra, and maybe we can try to start following him too, because he, I think he has a mustache.
Monocle and a top hat?
No monocle and a top hat, just the mustache. Next scene, we get some stand-up, and this is definitely something that they wrote for the show, right?
Yeah, this doesn't do it for me at all.
It's weird.
Well, because Jerry, I think, tackles like fear of flying and fear of speaking in public kind of thing at the same time in his stand-up and then in later episodes. But this one, it's like, ooh.
What does he say? He's like, I'm not afraid of flying, but I understand people who are afraid.
We're not meant to be in the air. A person in the air is like a fish driving. And then he does the little hand motion as a fish with fins on the steering wheel. And he's like, I don't belong here.
I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
which is like the only saving grace to this bit, like his physical gesture. So, all right, we'll move on. Next scene is in George's car. He is driving Jerry home from the airport. So here's your airport pickup that you brought up earlier.
The airport run.
The airport run, yeah. It comes up quite a bit, like in The Boyfriend with Keith Hernandez, with the airport episode. I think that might be it, but it does have a pretty like big impression, I feel like, on the show as a whole, like topics they cover. This really seems to stand out quite a bit. And, George is driving Jerry home, and the college Jerry, I guess, was going to perform at canceled the gig since there was so much snow on the roads. And, George is like, oh, after I heard what happened to you, I just appreciate having a real friend. And Jerry's feeling just a little suspicious about why George would be picking him up from the airport. Like, why he would be willing to do it.
And it makes a reference. If Richie Brandis had did this, I would have been suspicious. He's always got an ulterior motive. And I tried to look up who Richie Brandis is. I couldn't find anything. Do you know who he is?
No, I don't know.
Any of you guys know who that is?
Yeah, anyone?
Am I talking to myself?
I know Jonathan Brandis, but
I think it's spelled Brandes.
if anyone out there wants to do some research for us and let us know, we'd really appreciate it. Jerry says that he can't go back to the apartment because Elaine is having her baby shower there. And George, once again pretends like he didn't know, but he doesn't want to go back to his place. And Jerry suggests that they get a bite to eat. And do you remember what George says he ate?
He had a whole pot roast.
Do you feel like George could have done a better job of, pretending he didn't want to go to Jerry's?
Perhaps, yeah. I think, yeah. He could have been like, I just ate. But maybe pot roast it's funnier because it's so outlandish. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's for the sake of the joke, not for the sake of reality. I don't know.
George does say, well, they should at least drop off his bag, even though Elaine's having the baby shower. And
you can actually see Jason Alexander, he keeps doing this thing with his eyes where he's looking to see if Jerry, is onto him yet. It's really cool. I like that because he's nervous about. We should drop off your bag at least.
And this moment here, I know means a lot to you, right?
Yes, it does. Jerry, realizes that George is trying to pull a fast one on him, and he goes, red shirt, and then do you like to say this but he says, nice try, my friend, but you got to get up pretty early in the morning. I love that. That's such a great line.
Jerry kind of gives George a hard time. He realizes George is going to go to you're going to go badger a pregnant woman at her own baby shower and make her clean it with club soda, the stain on his shirt. We haven't done any of these connections this episode, but reminded me of the club soda and salt episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, good get. Yeah. I didn't even pick up on that one.
The premise of that is that someone demonstrates how you can get a wine stain out with just club soda and salt, but the joke is, I guess, Larry never sees him do it. He just knows that that's what you use, and he tries to do it later, and it doesn't work at all.
It backfires.
Yeah.
Did you also notice, another little connection is she can see what the smell of stale Bosco was like for, that he had to deal with for 3 years, which is referenced later on in the secret code from season 7, right. George's ATM password.
Do you think his ATM password is Bosco at this point?
Well, I've never had a password that was a letter password. It's always been numbers, like a PIN. So I don't. Oh, right now is it Bosco?
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant do you think that George's ATM code in this episode, time wise, is Bosco?
I could see that. Yeah. I'd like to believe that.
Just part of me is like, oh my god, he's obviously been so affected by this woman that I wonder if she's this one that sticks with him throughout the rest of the show. Yeah. He's secretly in love with her, and that's why he makes his password Bosco. I don't know.
He's got a collage of her in his apartment.
George is a complete psychopath.
In the shower. Yeah. Another thing that Charles pointed out in the commentary, which was kind of cool, was if you notice, there's truck lights behind them in the car, and they've been tailgating the entire scene, but you just see those 4 little lights, which shows the front of a truck, like a semi bumper.
Yeah, what do they call this? The poor man's process?
Yeah, because they didn't have a lot of money to do the green screen backgrounds at this point. So they had to just, make it really dark and then put a couple lights flashed into the car. Mm-hmm. But I like when, people that worked on the show make little, nods to how they did it.
Yeah, it's incredible how you can, as long as the writing is strong enough and the conversation is interesting, you can put 2 characters just in a car, with poorly lit black background, and that's enough. Next scene is in Jerry's apartment, but Elaine is having her baby shower there. Leslie, who is played by
Christine Dunford,
I'm sorry. We should just point this out right now. This is our double dipper of the week, right?
I think I see a double dipper. Yeah.
That's my double dipper.
Yeah.
She comes back to play. Does she ever have Is the character have a name?
She's credited as saleswoman.
Saleswoman. We could also call her Natasha.
Yes, I like Natasha better.
Yeah, we'll just call her Natasha. In which episode was it?
The Pie, season 5. When George goes to Renitzi's, which is a real boss store, to buy this suit, which ends up getting him, not getting him this job because of the suit whooshes. But the saleswoman waits on him, and she goes, "That suit is fabulous on you," and she talks about an unadvertised sale. And then eventually she has a run-in with Elaine. That is the same actress. Christine Dunford plays Leslie in The Baby Shower.
Yeah. This was when I think we knew about this Double Dipper, before recording this episode. But the first time I found out, this was another huge, just mind-exploding moments where I just can't believe I never picked up on it. Because when in this episode she has, dark black hair and the, what is it again? The Pie?
The Pie.
Yeah, the Pie episode. This is, Renitzi's the store, for those that aren't remembering it, where the Elaine mannequin is.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah. She has blonde hair in that. So it is kind of like
And a new accent. It's very similar to how Tracy Collis kind of transformed herself from the waitress in Monks with the really short hair to Arlene in
The Ex-Girlfriend?
Yes, thank you.
It's cool, though, to see these actresses come back. I don't know if they're just, trying to, they enjoyed working with them, or if they were, just that good, or if it's just, easier to bring someone back that's already worked on the show. They get how to work with the cast.
And I would think, I don't know what it's like to be an actor, but I would think, I was already on Seinfeld. I've already been established in that world. So why would I audition for another part? But I guess that's a testament to how good an actor they are, that they can morph and change,
Yeah, dude, I would, if someone were like, "You want to play a role in Seinfeld?" I'd be like, "Yes," and then they're like, "You want to come back again?" I'd be like, "Yes."
Hell yeah.
Hopefully that surprised some of you, because I know the first time we heard it, it really took us by surprise. But she's talking to a friend, this character Leslie, who is just awful. Not the character bad writing. She's just so mean and so cold and
She's really just a disgusting person.
Well, she's just so rude to these people we care about. Whenever someone's mean to Elaine, especially when Elaine is trying so hard to please them, I get so upset. Elaine, it's her own fault, really, but just because she's, I guess, so neurotic. But she's trying so hard to please this woman who doesn't care about her. Right. They went to college together, right?
Yes, Tufts.
And Tufts, yeah. As we learned in the Puerto Rican day.
It's her safety school.
Elaine went to Tufts.
I guess, who else probably went to Tufts was Sue Ellen Mishke.
Oh, wait, they went to high school together, right?
Oh, was it high school? Because Sue Ellen Mishke stole her boyfriend.
It's funny, you mentioned Sue Ellen Mishke. I got a total Sue Ellen Mishke vibe from Leslie.
It's kind of a nemesis.
Yeah, it's a nemesis for her, someone from her past, and I wondered, if Seinfeld were trying to, connect characters and pieces together more, this might have been Sue Ellen Mishke.
Hold on, I'm going to the script. Oh, you're right. So Sue Ellen Mishke was high school.
Okay.
Damn. Okay.
But still, someone from her past that Elaine probably doesn't care for, but for whatever reason, by the time Sue Ellen Mishke appears in the caddy, Elaine's sort of I can't stand this person, anyways. Right. But for whatever reason, it's like Elaine doesn't have as much of a spine in these earlier episodes. She does, but she doesn't.
Yeah. And it's so sad because this is so true of the human psyche, is that for some reason we seek the approval of those that don't either like us or that don't show us the attention we want. You know what I mean? If somebody kisses your ass, you're like, yeah. But if somebody doesn't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, absolutely. Can
you articulate it better than me? Because I'm screwing up.
Well, I can think of a few relationships I've had in my life where the person doesn't care for me or really like me as much, and that just makes me like them even more. I'm so determined for them to get to like me.
Ferris Bueller sums it up best. Is you can't respect somebody that kisses your ass. It just doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Elaine is just kissing her ass, essentially, trying to make conversation. And
is Rose there? Now, did you see an early cut of the episode? What was cut from this scene?
I did read about it, but why don't you share what you know?
It was very interesting. So one guest mentions that it's easy to turn off men by simply telling them that it's that time of the month, and then Elaine says men will flock to an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and buckets of blood will be splattered everywhere. But show them a little stain, and they head for the hills. I was like, damn, that was a really like progressive kind of dialogue for being 1991. And she mentioned that before because in the Busboy, she talks about being 100 period, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus is so amazed that she got to say that on a sitcom.
Yeah.
So this is one that I guess that just didn't make it, whether it was time or the network didn't
just
like it.
Comparing the two, like if we're going to be talking about menstruation in this episode, I mentioned this in the Busboy conversation. I like that comment, or what Elaine says about Ed. She's like, we haven't had sex all week because I've been telling him I'm on my period. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like it was treated as a joke, like a setup with like a punchline.
Yes.
And it was just very just part of a normal conversation.
Right.
And in this scene, I wonder if this was cut because it was more of like a joke. And,
perhaps.
And maybe it just kind of changed the context of that sort of like progressive... those progressive topics. I don't know if that makes sense.
It also paints a picture, like, because she says an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie with buckets of blood. So they're like making a joke, like they're equating that to menstruation, and I don't know. I have a feeling like the censors were like, no, that's not going to fly. No.
And also, I think people get really uptight about jokes for some reason. Like, I really don't understand why. I mean, they're a joke for a reason, but behind every joke, there's some truth, right?
Oh, I'm joking. Yeah.
There's one little part here where Elaine, she's so pathetic. It's so sad. She's like, whatever happened to Sergeant Shriver? Is he still with the Kennedys? Mm-hmm. You don't hear much about him these days. And that's when we got that line.
Who catered this? Sears?
You feel so bad for her, but at the same time, she's doing this to herself.
I'm actually when I watched it, I was like, don't talk to her like that. Like, that's what went through my head, because I care so much about Elaine.
That's my Elaine.
Yeah. My Laney!
At this point, Kramer enters with his cable guys. And Elaine, kind of slightly gets into panic mode. She's like, why are you here? You can't install cable now. And Kramer says, the guys are so booked up that it'll take months to get them back, and Jerry won't like that. Mm-hmm. And Elaine says to do it fast and get out. Did you notice, I mentioned earlier that I thought that the cable guy looks like Slippery Pete.
Yes.
There was one brief moment, and if you don't see a screenshot, like a side-by-side of this, that means that after revisiting it, I don't agree with it anymore. But Did he look like Morty in this scene at all, like a younger Morty?
I could see that because of the hair.
And like the stomach and the kind of jolly.
You're reaching, but I'll give it to you.
All right. I was a little tired when I watched the episode too, so maybe I was just hallucinating.
Something's missing, all right.
You mentioned earlier that the cable guy's name is what is it? Anatoly?
Well, he's credited as being Tabachnik, the Russian, as the main cable guy. But then Kramer references Anatoly. Yep. He says that to somebody. I don't know if that's the younger guy with the longer hair, or is Anatoly Tabachnik? So you don't know.
Yeah. Well, the cable guy is never mentioned by name by character in the show, right?
No.
We sometimes get into that tricky area where, like, at least we do this for trivia, Seinfeld trivia in New York, that I host, when we'll never ask what a character's name is if someone didn't say it in the episode. Mm-hmm. Like, just because they were credited with it doesn't mean that was really their name. So
it's not fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish we had a clear answer on that. The Anatoly might have been like Kramer gibberish whenever he like tries to. I think Michael Richards is like making up a language.
Perhaps. But Anatoly's a real name, so.
Oh, it is? Okay. I like this bit too when the cable guys are going to work on the TV and Kramer turns to Elaine in the group and he's like, it's only going to take a few minutes and then you and the gals can take a load off and watch something on Lifetime.
Yeah. It's like he's running for office or something.
And there's that, I think that's a Michael Richards improv moment where he just like lifts up his shirt and starts scratching his stomach.
That's great because all the eyes dart right to his belly.
Next scene is in George's car, and are they parked now? I think they're outside, right?
I think they're waiting to go up.
They're waiting to go up to the apartment, and there's not a lot of. This is one of those little scenes where you don't really get a lot of laughs from the audience, at least. But Jerry asks, what is George going to say to Leslie? And George has this, this fantastic monologue that he, doesn't deserve this kind of treatment, and we won't go over it all. But there's this great bit where I think this kind of pays off or comes back in the next scene with the Mary character and Jerry, where George is kind of rehearsing this rant and to Leslie, and he's like, you think you can avoid me? Like I have some sort of disease. You have the disease. You have the disease. Mm-hmm. They're just like these little like mirror moments between George and this imaginary conversation and Mary and Jerry, which I like.
Mary is able to do what George wishes he could have done.
Of course.
Kind of cool. So she lived out his fantasy.
Jerry doesn't think that George will be able to say any of these things to Leslie, and he's just like, watch me,
So did you see that there was an earlier draft that was written in which George ended that rant by saying that Leslie didn't deserve happiness or joy and that he hoped she would go into labor and stay that way permanently?
That's harsh.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
But it is kind of funny too.
Yeah. And Jerry says, I don't believe you. You won't say that to her in person. And George says, watch me. And then Jerry goes, all right, 2 minutes. So it's very like, yeah, okay, I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, Jerry knows George, and I'm sure like Larry David, George has probably been through like these moments a lot of times, like where he tells Jerry, like, I'm going to do this, and this is how it's going to go, and he chickens out.
Also, in the earlier draft, it said as George gets to the building, he loses his nerve, but Jerry makes him confront Leslie because George has, and it's, quote, a date with destiny.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So I was, yeah, that would have been cool.
There's kind of like a little bit, I think the writers wanted things to be a little bit of a surprise this episode. Like,
yes,
to have like George chicken out right before he goes in kind of deflates the whole like scene, right? Like you kind of know going into it, all right, he's already like chickened out. Just like how they cut out this bit that Elaine and Jerry were going to realize that they scheduled the baby shower and the cable appointment on the same day, but by cutting it out, it's sort of more of a surprise, right? Like when they all come together. So it adds a lot more drama to the scene, and I'm glad they've cut out like these bits. Those were definitely good choices.
Because as an audience, you still think, "Ooh, George is going to do it. He's going to say something to this woman."
And he definitely sets it up or foreshadows it in the first scene in the diner where he's like, I just totally groveled, and I was like, oh, what kind of chocolate syrup was that? He chickens out at the last minute. So we're in Jerry's apartment before Jerry and George comes up, and I love this moment with Kramer and the guest.
Kramer is picking up chicks. This is how he picks up girls.
Yeah, he seems to have some, even though he's really weird and creepy, he's got some confidence. He's doing all right. But he's talking about how he eats the whole apple, the core, the stem, and the seeds. I think I've eaten a whole apple once just to see what it was like. I couldn't eat the stem. I could eat the seeds, but
I can't do it.
It's only if I'm like really hungry. Elaine interrupts Kramer, and she's like, "The cable guy's eating all the food."
Yeah, he looks like a dog, like just like eating scraps. He's like really low and hunched over the table, and he's like looking to see if anybody can see him. It's
really revolting. And Kramer, I don't know if we got a bit of this in earlier episodes. I can't recall, but like this is a great moment where Kramer is like explaining to another character about like someone else's culture or like history that's just totally wrong and made up.
But he's doing it with confidence.
Right. American and Soviet cultures, the cable guy gets the run of the whole house. Mm-hmm. Kramer turns back to the guest and asks her if she's ever eaten the bark off a pineapple.
Ooh, that would be painful.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. Did you notice how this fight that breaks out between the cable guy and the assistant, how weird it is?
I noticed it sounded like the Three Stooges fighting.
You're saying the actors didn't know Russian?
I guess.
Yeah. It was really weird, especially like as Kramer breaks it up. Like you notice, like no words were exchanged. Like just Kramer comes up, pushes them apart, and that's it. And
then he's like, "Man," Kramer's like, "Come on, man."
It's just awkward.
And then I'll call him Anatoly. He goes to the bathroom, mm-hmm. which we talked about. He's eating this entire episode.
Yeah.
So maybe he's going under some gastrointestinal distress.
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed later on he calls Kramer over to the bathroom. He's like, Kramer, and why is he calling Kramer to the bathroom?
Dude, I have the same note here. It's like It's during like the Jerry, Elaine, George scene, and yeah, it's just this one random moment where he's like, Kramer.
Did
Must
he
have clogged something up.
He clogged the toilet, or he's out of toilet paper? It's just a funny moment. Like Kramer's gonna go in there and fix the situation.
Hey, remember in the robbery when didn't Elaine she came out of the
She did.
bathroom with a plunger, so maybe
Yeah.
she clogged the toilet too.
Yeah.
Does
Go-
Jerry ever say like you have to? Oh, he also tells Newman to flush twice when he comes over that one time, but that might be more for like hygiene.
Yeah. He doesn't want any of Newman's fluids anywhere near his toilet water.
Yeah.
So this is the scene where you can see the Yankees hat in Jerry's bathroom and the Mets hat by the computer.
Jerry and George come in the apartment. They enter, and there's that great line. I don't know if you like this, but where she's like, Jerry, like, what does she say? How does she set this up?
What a surprise! I didn't know you were going to be here.
And he's like, says that the road less traveled is less traveled for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Jerry, and maybe this comes from the wedding he went to. Like, I think he kind of knows that Leslie isn't a very pleasant person.
Yes.
Like he knows she's not very nice, and
Yeah.
and all
So
that.
he's gonna talk to her in that way.
Do you notice a bit of a blooper here, like a goof? The shot of Jerry saying that the road less traveled is less traveled for a reason. It's kind of like a different angle, you know. Like
Okay.
they brought the camera more over to where Leslie is standing to get that side of Jerry saying it. So before it cuts to Jerry, Elaine is standing next to him, and when it cuts to Jerry saying the road is less traveled for a reason, Elaine's already in the background talking to George.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
And then it comes back, and she's then walking away from Jerry to go talk to George.
Oh.
So I guess when they got that pickup shot, they got it wrong. Like they should have had Elaine
Yeah.
still with Jerry. But
Oh, well.
anyways, at this point, Elaine goes over to George, who's kind of standing by the fridge. And has he taken off his sweater yet? No, not yet.
I don't
right?
know, because she would have saw it.
But she knows that She knows
She can-
what he's going to do.
She can smell it a mile away, that Bosco.
The 3-year-old Bosco. And she's like, don't even think about it. Don't even dream about going over to confront Leslie. But George does, right? He takes off.
What? Is what he says.
Takes off the sweater. This is our first look at the stain that I think we mentioned earlier, and
Yes.
it's so weird. It's not quite the stain you're expecting, right?
Yeah, it's very much dried and kind of faded.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I thought maybe it would be darker, but it takes up almost his entire torso.
But it's so weird too how it's like, this is just.
Here we go.
I'm not complaining.
Nitpicking.
I'm a nitpicker. I like to pick nits. It looks like the shirt was laid out on a table and like a crew member, like I feel like shaped like a square, like they just rubbed their hands on it.
Yeah, or like a circle. Yeah, as opposed to just put it in a paint can and throw it at him like Jackson Pollock style.
Right.
That's what I was kind of expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that doesn't play well on TV.
And he must have tried to wash it at least once or twice, right? Like,
Yeah.
no food would stay on a shirt. Like, it would stain it. It wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe Bosco has some magical quality. So he walks up to Leslie and, like,
She cannot even remember him. You're not important enough to remember.
I don't know if it. I don't remember if like there's. I don't think there's like a bunch of laughs when George tries to get Leslie's attention, but right there, like George is already lost. Like the fact that
You're right.
Like if she doesn't remember him, even if he does like jog her memory, like who cares now? Like that's got to be, I think, the biggest insult when someone has had such a profound effect on you, whether it's positive or negative, and they don't remember
Yeah.
who you are. Oh right, we did meet once.
You're a Nets friend, remember? She kind of turns, looks at him, and then she doesn't even miss a beat in her conversation with the other woman.
Yeah.
And she makes this face like, who's this guy bothering me?
Yeah. You little phony, you know exactly
Yeah.
who I am.
So then he kind of turns to interject himself between this woman and Leslie.
Mm-hmm. He's not giving up.
Yeah, and he's like, we went out a couple of times, remember?
Do you think that that Leslie is...
Or once. We went out once.
Went out once. Yeah, just that one day where she probably met Todd. I like coming up with these little
Yeah.
like background stories that for characters we never even meet.
We're filling in the gaps.
Yeah. It doesn't contradict anything. It's just making it a little tighter.
Speaking of which, what if Todd was Todd Gack?
Oh,
And he
wow.
divorced Leslie, and then he went out with Elaine, only to assume the identity of... Okay, I'm sorry.
Little Ace Ventura there.
Yeah, look at you.
I know you.
Thank you.
I have a question though. Do you think that Leslie? This is just kind of like personal opinion. Do you think Leslie's pretending she doesn't remember him?
No, I think she is very much a self-centered character and in her own head that she can't even be bothered to remember this little short, stocky, balding man that she went on a date with 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And when you're in the heat of a moment during a performance, you kind of do your thing. I'm sure she didn't even think twice about dumping the chocolate sauce on him.
So I thought it was just about the shirt, right? Like it was just a really nice shirt. He really liked the shirt, and he's pissed that she ruined it, and that's why he's been like that's why he's getting so worked up, and he's so looking forward to having this moment where he's confronting her. However, as we see later, like George might still like have feelings for her because like she's a master. Well, even if she's a master manipulator, he's still playing into her hand. Like he cares about her.
And the funny thing is she's married now. You know what I mean? Like she's off limits. Yet he's still kind of assuming the role of a suitor in a way.
He might be upset about his shirt, but do you think he still might like her, or he might have fallen in love with her?
Well, he says at the end of the episode, spoilers, that every woman, like I forget how it's worded, but every woman has an effect on his life. And yet he wants them more.
Complete control over his life, and yet he wants them all. Yeah.
Yes, and that's here's a perfect example.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, we're kind of jumping ahead, but yeah, you're totally right. I forgot about that. That's the sort of the lesson learned here. That no matter how upset he might be. So the whole reason I brought up the whole like Leslie thing, like does she really remember him, is, I wonder if this is like a tactic a lot of people use. Like if maybe I'm just experienced it. And you haven't, but like I feel like there are many times like where I've in my past I've been really attracted to someone, and I'm really excited to see them, and then they like pretend like they're not as excited to see me, and I wonder if it's like either because they don't feel the same, they know how I feel about them and they don't feel the same way, and they don't want to like lead me on, or they do feel the same way I do, but they don't want to seem like over anxious.
Yeah. Well, to the first scenario you said, in the few times that I've picked up on a girl being interested in me, if I was not interested in her, I would make a conscientious attempt to not reciprocate her level of excitement for seeing me because I didn't want to lead her on.
Sure.
So I would be, friendly and courteous, but I didn't want to give her an enthusiastic hi. I didn't want to do that.
Sure.
And then and then the second scenario, what was the second thing you said?
Oh, that they might feel the same way as you do, but they might like you as much, but they don't want to seem over anxious.
Oh, and then that one, I think, and I cannot stand this, but I think that's a game that people play. Like we always hear about these games that people play.
The game.
And what is the point of dating without games? How do you know who's winning or losing?
Remember, Vinny, it's just a game.
What was that about you said about the myth of the Holocaust?
Can't wait for that episode. It's a very it's a polarizing episode, but
yes,
I'm looking forward to it.
It will be good. But I think the games that the average person plays, I think that's one of them. And like, don't let her or don't let him know that I'm that interested, because that might scare him away. So you got to play it cool. You got to play it aloof, which I don't believe in, by the way.
So what happens after this? We get introduced to this character, Mary Cantardi.
Yeah, Mary Cantardi.
This moment always felt a little weird to me, because it's one of those. Reminds me of the intervention they have for what's his name?
Richie
Appel. Richie Appel in the Pez dispenser, where it's just like a big, Jerry's apartment filled with people, and we're just bouncing from random person to random person.
Yeah, I could see that.
But on this rewatch, I really liked this thing with Mary Cantardi.
Me too.
Tell me about it.
So she just walks up to. She actually accosts Jerry in the kitchen. I think Jerry's like, taking a sip of water, and she is going through the exact same scenario that George just experienced with Leslie. Although she is being on offense, she's on the offensive. And she's like, we went out a couple of years. I think it's actually 3 years ago we went out. Said you had a good time. Said you'd call me the next day. And then Jerry, being diplomatic says, "Well, I'm sure I meant to. I probably just misplaced your," and then or something.
To call,
and
yeah.
then and then she screams at the top of her lungs, "Liar!" And then she goes off in this tirade of just like George did in the car, but she actually had the guts to say it to his face. What did you think I was? Some poor, pathetic wretch, some insignificant piece of dust that doesn't deserve your
respect and attention.
You don't deserve my respect and my attention. You're the insignificant piece of dust.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, she nailed this.
Yeah, she really did. And I really like this. Like, she's a one episode character, but she sticks with you. And the name, that's such a cool name, Mary Contardi.
Mm-hmm.
And Larry Charles pointed out in the commentary that was one of Larry David's names. So that must have been a friend of Larry's that he knew.
I don't know if he had like a book of the names of people from his past, or if he just remembered it on the spot, or how he operated. But
because it is kind of hard to make up a name. You know what I mean? Like the way they do Art Core Valet.
It sounds made up.
Yeah.
Well, who's another character that we know for sure is from his childhood?
Bob Sacamano.
Oh, really? Was Bob Sacamano from his life?
I believe so.
I know Alec Berg was a writer on the show.
Okay.
And then the Sagman Bennett, Robbins Oppenheim, and Taft. Those were friends from college.
Yes.
We should have done our research here.
Yeah, I'm a little out of my league here.
Yeah, a little bit, but we'll be sure that every time we come across one of those friends, we'll bring it up on the pod.
So we'll have to check Bob Sacamano because I'm iffy on that one.
Yeah. Also, I thought it was interesting, this is again from Larry Charles, that Mary Contardi wasn't originally part of this episode. Her character was added during the rehearsal week, which was, right before they would film the episode, like a few days prior, to get Jerry more involved in this scene, the baby shower scene. Because all he had was walk through the door, and that was it, pretty much.
Which is interesting because his story arc is really just he had a show in Buffalo. That's why he had to leave the apartment. That's why the apartment was empty so that they could have the baby shower. And then he also was getting the illegal cable. So he really didn't have too much going on.
Mm-hmm. Up to the point that he comes home.
Yeah, and this is similar to the busboy in that he was more just the mediator between all these storylines. So yet again, he's being selfless. Well, Larry Charles wrote him being selfless. Having all the more interesting, meatier stuff going on with other characters.
Yeah. It's funny, and he doesn't really do much in this exchange. Mm-hmm. It's really just the actress who plays Mary Contardi just doing her thing, but it's...
Her name is Margaret Reed. Oh, and a little IMDb search yielded that she was on an episode of Jake and the Fat Man, which went up against Seinfeld. Yeah.
Did we cover Jake and the Fat Man much during season 2? Our first episode?
I think we mentioned it in the little recap of what was going on in the behind the scenes in the start of the season, I believe.
So if we didn't talk about it, or if you guys forget, Jake and the Fat Man was a show that aired at the same time Seinfeld did during its second season, and they were always losing to it, right?
Yes.
What did Jerry say that they would air during the second half of Jake and the Fat Man, because it's an hour-long show, and the second half of Jake and the Fat Man was always more interesting than the first half because they actually caught the bad guy. Yeah, and that's the part everyone wanted to see.
Of course.
So yeah, tough.
If we're not done with Mary Contardi just yet, something that kind of resonated with me was seeing her wardrobe and then looking at the other women in the background, what they were wearing. Oh. And it really looked like 90s attire. Like they had the shoulder pads and, everything was really buttoned up to the top. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that looks very 90s. But when I look at Elaine just as a sole character, sole woman, I don't get that feel of, oh, this is 90s. I'm just used to that's how Elaine looks. So it doesn't date the show for me. Whereas when I see other women dated, like the way Leslie, her maternity clothes, and then Mary Contardi, I was like, wow, this is a really 1990s looking scene right here. So just a little thing.
I do notice though, in later episodes, there are some interesting costume choices, and I always want to. I wish we could talk to someone who knows something about costuming on the show, because there's some episodes where Jerry and George almost have the same shirt on.
Yeah, the same color scheme, and
yeah, and
I think there's one episode where everybody has red on.
Yeah, and it's just really weird, and it's you wonder why they're doing that, because you'd think you'd want everyone to kind of stand apart. Mm-hmm. But Jerry and George will have the same red shirt or blue red shirt or flannel kind of pattern.
Yeah.
So yeah. at this point, after Mary gives her rant, she kind of storms off. And at first I'm like, where's she going? Because she's sat in the bedroom, and I'm like, is that like where characters just disappear? But she was grabbing her coat, right? And she storms off and, leaves the apartment. And as she does, it's kind of blatant, but almost like she has like a thing against Leslie too. She pushes Leslie into George, and the huge slice of chocolate cake Leslie was eating just goes right onto George's shirt. Just adding more chocolate to this red shirt.
It's now a double layer chocolate shirt.
Yeah, right. 2-tier. I forgot to mention though, as Mary storms off to the bedroom, there's like that shot of Elaine, and she looks and smiles at Jerry. How do you interpret that smile?
I think Elaine, seeing as she's one of the boys, she loves seeing the screws turned on Jerry, and this is one instance where Jerry got a taste of his medicine. Not his own medicine, but Jerry had something coming to him, and Elaine's kind of reveling in it. Yeah,
it's kind of going back to the flirtatious teasing from season 1. I don't know if it was the robbery or the stock tip when they were in the monks, and they were kind of making fun of each other's the other's significant other. Yeah, I feel like it dates back to that, and it builds throughout the show, right? This idea of kind of, I think, keeping it only tied to relationships, like liking to see the other one get screwed over, but it kind of just turns into anything, like enjoying screwing the other one over.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the pool boy when Ramon comes over and Jerry says to Elaine, "Do me a favor, just stick around while he's here." And she's like, "Yeah, no problem." As soon as Ramon walks through the door, she's like, "Yeah, and I was just leaving. Bye, Jerry. Bye." And she's got this big smile on her face, and Jerry's just like, "She got me."
Yeah, that's great. I was a little, Leslie is not a pleasant character, but it really bugged me after she, falls into George and pushes the cake on his chest. She's like, "Thanks." Like it was George's fault.
Well, she's, again, so narcissistic that it's not... Well, it wasn't her fault either. It was Mary Contardi's fault. But
exactly.
she blames George.
I love how the cake just sits there, too, on George's chest.
Did you notice that Jerry's apartment door still has 3A on it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. They leave that wide open. I think we were talking about that probably stays that way until season 3, right?
I don't remember exactly, but I'm keeping an eye out for baseball hats and now the front door. Yeah. I'm adding things to my list that I'm like keeping an eye out for.
Was there something else that we were going to keep an eye out for in the earlier episodes?
When the bicycle gets put up in the background.
So people start heading out, following Mary's lead, because I guess the party's over. From Mary freaking out to the cable guys, it's just getting too weird. So as people start leaving, Jerry talks to the cable guy and what's the cable guy's name again?
Anatoly Tibichnik. He's credited as Tibichnik the Russian, but Kramer uses the word Anatoly. And then the other guy with the longer hair is credited as being the assistant. So I'm calling the main guy, I'm calling him Anatoly.
Cool.
Okay, yep. So at this point, Jerry wants to get out of it. He's like, "Sorry for your trouble. Just tell me what I owe you." But Jerry doesn't want to deal with the hassle of having illegal cable. And he's like, "You don't want?" "Yes, I don't want." So Anatoly looks at the TV and he's like, 400. And Jerry's perplexed. He's like, 400? You said 150. And Kramer doesn't say anything. He's like,
Good guy Jerry, though, for at least wanting to pay him for his time and all that.
Yeah.
And in the next scene, the TV is cracked. The screen has been shattered. I guess the cable guy didn't like Jerry's intimidating fact. Now, I think I added this is just interesting little aside that Larry Charles mentioned in the commentary that the cracked feature on the TV was just a little plastic, I don't know, like a sheet or something that they just put over the screen.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can buy those anymore for
gags.
Probably not a good idea since it's not glass covering most TVs anymore. But we have all three characters just sitting around the TV, George, Elaine, and Jerry. It's just a great shot kind of over the rabbit ears of the TV. And we almost get a little wrap-up from each character, bringing it full circle. And George, as we talked about earlier, is like, every woman on the earth has complete control over his life, and yet he wants them all. Is that irony? it's tricky for me to say this since I am a married man, but I completely understand what George is saying. Can I get an amen, brother?
As a single man, I understand it more than you right now.
But yeah, I don't know if all guys, whether married or single, can relate to this, but it's true. Very true. I think we have a lot in common with George.
More than we'd like to admit.
Yeah, the neuroses, we definitely can relate. What does Elaine talk about? The Kennedys?
Why can't I meet a Kennedy?
Right.
I saw John Jr. on the bus once. I hit the thing. It didn't stop.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because in a couple seasons we're going to see her have an encounter with John F. Kennedy Jr.
So Elaine has always, I assume, been obsessed with the Kennedys, or at least really into them. She just pretends she's not.
Yeah.
Jerry's kind of talking about Mary in a sense. He's like, I said I had a good time, I'd call, but who takes that literally?
There's another game that you play when you're dating. The nice thing about this is that the stand-up scene that we're about to get into directly correlates with what Jerry went through.
Right. So we'll get into that. So last thing is what Kramer comes in and he's like, "Hey, Dr. Zhivago's on cable in 5 minutes."
Yeah.
I'm making popcorn. I don't know if we've had a moment like this already. I think this might be the first time Kramer takes us out of an episode. But I have to applaud Larry Charles in this episode of really kind of shaping Kramer into the character we know. Like, we've gotten a lot of Kramer-isms, but I think that might have been more on Michael Richards' part, like his mannerisms and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think Larry Charles really just brought in a lot of funny, like, dialogue that Kramer would be known for.
You're getting a little bit more depth to the character as well, like we talked about earlier, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that he's kind of like against the system. He's a little more like eager now to hang out with everyone and have fun, whereas before he was kind of like this weirdo that would just stop by every once in a while.
It's almost as if he started the character playing slow behind the curve. Now he's starting to speed up. So I think we're seeing that transition of him being ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Still a little dim, but ahead of the curve.
Also, Larry Charles threw in that Dr. Zhivago bit because of the storyline with the Russians earlier.
Yeah.
Little connection there.
Yeah, a movie about Russia.
Okay, so we go to the stand-up as the closing scene, and Jerry, much like he learned from Mary Contardi about how do you end a date when you don't want to see that person again? What do you say? And he goes, I'll see you around. He's like, what does that even mean? I'll see you around. I'll see you around. And then he says, what else? Take care now. Take care now. Because I'm not going to be taking care of you. And then the last one is take off, which is what you really like to say.
I really like it when Jerry breaks down the just words we use and phrases we use in everyday practice and really starts examining them.
Yes.
I think that's like one area of his stand-up that he really shines at.
And this is one of those instances of is there a social convention or a protocol for ending a date and saying to the person, I don't want to see you anymore? Is this the best we can do, or is the best that society's come up with to end a date?
No,
so
you're right.
I like when they analyze.
I don't know if this is like the strongest stand-up that's ever taken us out of a show, but it definitely feels more. It feels more like Jerry's original material than it does the show. It's
solid.
And so, like, in that regard, like, it just feels like a stronger ending. Like, and you wonder if like the bit with Mary kind of was written in, not only to find a way to get Jerry more involved in the baby shower scene, but maybe they had this bit of stand-up and there was a way to kind of tie it in. For the first time, I wonder if the stand-up kind of determined a scene in the episode.
Yeah, was it the chicken or the egg is kind of what's going on here.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think? We ready to rate this mofo?
Yeah, let's do. I'm curious to see what you came up with because I feel like we may have come up with the same thing this week, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough. We we usually kind of take turns, like sort of giving like our thoughts on this episode. So I think we can stick with that, even though I feel like we're probably coming at this episode from the same point of view. But why don't you take it?
Okay. I really liked this episode. I liked that it was a Larry Charles, introduction into the Seinfeld world, and I liked all the stories. I'm being very general here, but I did enjoy all the storylines that each character had, and I love when they all come together at the end. And I think what's really going on with these stupid ratings that we've done every week, because they're very important. But I'm saving my 8s and 9s for when we get into seasons 4, 5, 6. When we get into the really solid Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So I'm being a little bit I'm reserving my 8s for future shows. So I don't know how fair it is to these earlier episodes, even as much as I love them. Having said that, for you Curb people out there, and another thing is, since we just did the Busboy last week, and I had a ball talking about the Busboy with you, and when I was rewatching the Busboy, I was like saying to myself, man, this is a really good episode, and I was like really into it, and I didn't have that same feeling. So I guess I'm looking at the episode more as a whole, as opposed to picking apart little different elements. So I think I gave the Busboy a 7.5 last week. So this week I'm going to give the Baby Shower 7.4 drunken orgies of violence out of 10.
You're going down just a 0.1.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed this, but I enjoyed the Busboy a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Okay, see, I had no idea, first of all, why the hell we're rating these episodes, because it's like, we like them all. It's just saying I like this one a little bit more than this, and by the time we get to season 8, it's going to be really hard to keep track of. Even if we created a spreadsheet, it's going to be difficult to keep track of. Do I feel the same way about the Baby Shower as I do the pilot episode? Mm-hmm. Even if they get the same score, which isn't really accurate. So I don't know. Maybe we should do away with the ratings. What do you think?
All right, delete what I just said.
No. I guess we're going to break the tradition of doing the 0.5s and the 0.0s.
It was purely to illustrate a point that I liked the Busboy a little bit more than this one. That's all.
It's such a big leap to go from 0.5 all the way down to a whole number. But maybe next season we'll introduce a different rating system. But Vinny, I agree with you. We're I think usually on the same page. I wasn't as big of a fan of the Busboy as you were, but I like this episode. I can't believe I'm saying this. Maybe a little bit more than the Busboy. So I'll give this episode 6.6 insignificant pieces of dust out of 10.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah. But yeah, these aren't bad episodes, and we don't mean to rate them as a whole, really. It's really just kind of what we took away from them, and I know that there are just some really solid episodes coming up.
Yeah.
This in every season, really, but mainly as we hit that season 4 stride, where we're probably going to start dishing out more 8s and 9s, but we should probably reach out to you guys, the listeners, and see what you think of our rating system. If you want it to change a little bit, I kind of like the idea of maybe giving letter grades to episodes, so that there's a little bit more wiggle room. It's not just 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5. We can maybe give 7s and maybe a 7 plus or a 7 minus. That might be a more fair way of grading these episodes. So if you want to write in and let us know, first of all, what you think of our rating system, good or bad, and if we were to change it, what you'd like to see.
Or even go ahead and post a review on Twitter or Facebook what you thought of the episode.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. People should write in too. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, what your thoughts are on the episode. I feel like this episode, though, the ex-girlfriend, might not get a lot of attention or a lot of love. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything really too memorable from it other than the shootout with Jerry. There's no other scene to me that really stands out as classic Seinfeld.
I think that you got to get up pretty early in the morning. That always rings true with me. Little lines here and there.
I still like this episode. It wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting it to be, really. But yeah, all in all, I think Larry Charles did a pretty good job, for a first episode.
I guess that's going to do it for us here at Seincast this week.
Is that all we got?
That's all we got.
All right.
You got anything else?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I think we went on long enough. What'd you say?
Nothing.
Shagging off?
No, I said then shut your mouth. Joking. As we always say, we'd love to hear from you in any capacity. Feel free to reach us reach out to us with an email. We're at seincast@gmail.com. You can also like us on Facebook or go on over to Twitter and tweet us at Seincast. And if you haven't already, and again, I apologize for those of you that have, but go ahead on iTunes and leave us a rating, what you like, what you don't like. So please, if you have a little time and you want to, go ahead and leave us a little message.
Yeah, and I want to throw in there too. We, Vinny and I were talking about this off mic. We're not sure really where this show is going to go. I doubt we're going to have the same format in a year or two. I think the show will always be evolving and changing. But when you write into us and just tell us how much you love Seinfeld, please let us know what you think of the show, what you'd like to hear more of, what you more likely would like to hear less of.
Do you want less Matt, more Vinny, or vice versa? Let us know.
I'm sure Vinny and yourself included would like to hear a lot less Matt. So.
I'd actually like more Matt and less Vinny, to be honest with you.
Oh, get out of here! Why?
Yeah, I've been done to death.
You over the show?
Yep.
Stick it out till season 7, and then you can leave.
There we go.
Bring in a guest host. We've actually had quite a few listeners check in with us and ask if we'll ever have a guest host or callers, whatnot. I would love to do that personally. We're still just figuring out the kinks though, from a technical standpoint, and just honestly, just like a show format. Like I love recapping these episodes to death with you, Vinny, and really going over the trivia. But I know it'll be pretty tough to keep this up for the next couple of years. So I think somewhere down the line we'll definitely have guest hosts and people calling in. But if you guys could bear with us, be patient, and again, write in to let us know what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. It'll
be funny when we get to episodes in season 7 and we're like, hey, remember back in season 2 when we talked about this already and we connected it to this episode in season 7? Remember that? That was awesome.
We're probably going to come to that eventually. Case in point, why I'd like to introduce maybe some new features, new material to the show in time. So.
All right, so please join us next week as we discuss the 5th episode of Season 2. Drum roll.
According to our DVD sets, The Jacket.
Ooh, master of the house. Okay, anyway. All right, I'm Vinny.
I'm Matt.
Signing off.
Seincast is not endorsed by Castle Rock Entertainment, Sony Pictures, or NBC, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The official Seinfeld site can be found at sonypictures.com/TV/Seinfeld. Seinfeld, the Seinfeld logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Seinfeld characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Castle Rock Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders.
What did you go out with me for? Just to dump chocolate on my shirt and then dump me altogether? I don't deserve that kind of treatment. What, you don't have the common courtesy to return my calls? To apologize? You think I'm some sort of a loser that likes to be abused and ignored? Whose shirt can be ruined without financial restitution? Some sort of a masochist who enjoys being humiliated? You think you can just avoid me? Like I have some sort of a disease. You have the disease. You have the disease. You may be beautiful and rich and physically just unbelievable, but you sicken me. You disgust me. You and everyone like you.
You'll never say that to her face.
Watch me.